He was late for a meeting worth millions. Until a 6-year-old girl grabbed his coat and whispered, "My mom isn't waking up." The rain had stopped an hour ago, but the street still held its memory. Puddles caught the gray morning light. The air smelled of wet pavement and cold metal. In the heart of the city, people moved fast, briefcases swinging, heels clicking, phones pressed to ears. No one had time to slow down. Among them walked a man in a tailored charcoal suit. His name was Daniel Cross, CEO of a growing tech firm. His car had broken down 3 blocks back, so now he walked, checking his watch every few seconds. A board meeting, investors waiting, millions on the line. He moved through the crowd like water through stone, steady, unbothered, untouched. Then a small hand grabbed his coat. Daniel stopped. He looked down. A little girl stood beside him, maybe 6 years old, messy brown hair, thin jacket with a torn sleeve. Her eyes were wide, red from crying. Her lips trembled as she tried to speak. "Sir," her voice was barely a whisper, "my mom isn't waking up." Daniel blinked. Around them the crowd kept moving. A woman in sunglasses walked past without a glance. A man on his phone stepped around them like they were furniture. "What?" Daniel asked, still half distracted. "My mom," the girl said again, her voice cracking. "She's not waking up. I tried, I shook her, she won't open her eyes." Daniel felt something tighten in his chest. He glanced at his watch, 10 minutes until the meeting. He looked back at the girl, her hands were shaking. "Where's your mom?" he asked quietly. "Home, it's close. Please, sir, please." There was something in her eyes, not just fear, desperation, the kind that doesn't lie. Daniel looked up the street. His office building stood tall in the distance, glass and steel catching the pale sun. He thought of the boardroom, the presentations, the expectations. Then he looked down at the girl again. "Take me to her," he said. She led him through narrow streets he'd never walked before, places the city kept hidden, cracked sidewalks, faded signs, buildings that leaned slightly as if tired of standing. They stopped in front of a rundown apartment complex. Rust stained the metal door. The hallway inside smelled of damp wood and old cooking oil. The girl climbed the stairs quickly. Daniel followed. She stopped at a door on the 3rd floor. It wasn't locked. She pushed it open. The apartment was freezing. Daniel stepped inside. One small room. A couch with sunken cushions, a table with 2 chairs, a window covered by a torn bedsheet. In the corner, a woman lay on a thin mattress on the floor. Her skin was pale, her breathing shallow. The girl knelt beside her. "Mama," she whispered, "I brought help." Daniel moved closer. He crouched down, placed 2 fingers against the woman's wrist. Her pulse was weak, irregular. Her forehead burned with fever. "How long has she been like this?" he asked. "Since last night," the girl said. "She said she was just tired, but this morning she wouldn't wake up." Daniel looked around the room. No heater. The window didn't close all the way. Cold air slipped through the gap. On the table sat an empty bottle of medicine and a note written in shaky handwriting. "Emma, if I'm still asleep, go to Mrs. Ramirez next door." But the girl hadn't gone next door. She'd gone to the street. She'd asked for help. Daniel pulled out his phone and called 911. He gave the address, described the symptoms, asked them to hurry. Then he took off his coat and draped it over the woman. The girl watched him with wide, hopeful eyes. "What's your name?" Daniel asked softly. "Emma." "Emma, your mom's going to be okay. Help is coming." She nodded, but tears rolled down her cheeks. "She works so much. She gets so tired. I told her to rest, but she said we needed the money." Daniel's throat tightened. He looked at the woman again, at her cracked hands, the dark circles under her eyes, the way her body seemed too thin beneath the blanket. And then something shifted inside him. A memory rose unbidden, sharp. Another cold room, another woman lying still. His own mother years ago after working 3 jobs to keep them fed. He'd been 8. She'd collapsed in their kitchen. He'd screamed for help, but no one came fast enough. She survived, barely, but he never forgot the feeling of being small, powerless, invisible. He looked at Emma, at the way she held her mother's hand. "Emma," he said quietly, "does your mom have a job?" "She cleans offices at night. She says it pays more." Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them. "Not anymore," he said. The paramedics arrived 12 minutes later. They stabilized the woman. Her name was Sarah, and took her to the hospital. Severe flu, dehydration, exhaustion, treatable, but dangerous if left alone. Daniel rode with them. Emma sat beside him, clutching his hand. At the hospital, he made calls, not to his office, not to investors. To his assistant. Cancel the meeting, reschedule everything. To his legal team. I need an employment contract drafted, full-time, benefits, health insurance, start immediately. To his HR director. Find housing assistance programs. I want a list by tonight. Emma looked up at him, confused. "Sir, what are you doing?" Daniel knelt down so they were eye level. "Your mom's going to work for me now," he said. "Not cleaning floors, a real job with a real salary, and you're both going to have a safe place to live." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Why?" Daniel hesitated. Then he said, "Because someone should have done this for my mom, and no one did." 3 weeks later, Sarah walked into Daniel's office for the first time, not as a cleaner, but as an administrative assistant. Emma sat in the waiting area, coloring in a new notebook. The apartment they'd moved into had heat, a working stove, a lock that worked. Sarah still cried sometimes, but now they were different tears. Daniel watched from his office window as Emma laughed at something on her paper. He thought about the morning he almost kept walking, the meeting he almost didn't miss, the life he almost didn't change. He thought about how close he'd come to being just another face in the crowd. Sometimes, the most important meetings aren't the ones on your calendar. Sometimes they're the ones that grab your coat and whisper, "Please help." And sometimes saying yes to a stranger is really just saying yes to the child you used to be, the one who needed someone to stop, to see, to care. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who believes in second chances. Because kindness isn't just something we give, it's something we become.